ever met the Hardy Boys? How about Nancy Drew? Really nice people. I grew up with the Hardy Boys books. In case you don't know what they are, they're novels designed for young readers. And the Hardy Boys are two brothers, fictional, who are detectives, sleuths, and they go about solving mysteries. I was so into the Hardy Boys when I was growing up. I had almost every single book. For some reason, there were like 4 or 5 books that were impossible to get, because you'd flip to the back of every book and they'd have a list of like 55 Hardy Boy books, and I was at like 50. Yeah, it's a lot of books, especially when they're like that thick. They're just lined up, bright blue binders. And boy, I just could not find those other books. And this was before the internet, when you could just like get on eBay and be like, hey, I'll give you $75 for this rare Hardy Boy book. Oh, it drove me crazy. But if you've never read the Hardy Boy books, you'll notice that they all follow a certain pattern. Oh, wait just a moment. You can see the Olympic Mountains across the Puget Sound. Beautiful day today, bright blue sky. Love the Pacific Northwest. You don't realize when you go to Seattle that there's a whole nother mountain range before you hit the ocean beyond that. But the Puget Sound makes you think that the ocean is right there. When you're in Seattle, you can't get any further west. Wrong! There is a massive peninsula out there where they have mountain ranges, and Forks, Washington, and Edward the Vampire. Oh, Washington State. So Hardy Boy books, they follow a certain pattern. And of course, one of the Hardy Boys, they always have to get caught. They have to get caught by a bad guy who goes on this long monologue about himself and how he's going to conquer the world or get rich or something. And then at the last moment, their father Fenton, crazy name, and Chet Morton, I think his name was their little fat bumbling sidekick who drove his jalopy around. Half of these words, I don't know what they mean. I don't know what a jalopy is. I can only assume that it's an old car that makes loud noise. But I read these books and just kind of floated over those words thinking, yeah, I'll understand that someday. To this day, I still don't know what some of these words are. Sleuthing. For the longest time, I didn't know what a sleuth was. That's detective work. I didn't know that. So they follow this pattern that is so wildly predictable. Almost as predictable as a Scooby-Doo episode. Same idea. The bad guy at the end. They have to split up at some point. Also, I noticed that the Hardy Boys always got knocked unconscious. Over and over and over again, they got knocked out. Now, being a person who has been knocked out on a few occasions, it's not something that you want to continue to do over and over and over again. I'm sure there's some pretty permanent head trauma in Joe and Frank's little noggins up there, because they've been knocked out over and over and over again. Oh, what happened? Well, I hit you with a tire iron. Oh, okay. They're all good and they're ready to go. Who are these people? Also, consider this. Isn't Joe Hardy like 17 years old and Frank is like 18? And they have done over 50 mysteries, half of which happened during their spring break and they're not in school? That's a very reckless lifestyle if you have saved the world 50 times in 1 year. You'd think the author would be like, actually have them graduate beyond high school. No, not these kids. The Hardy Boys. I've never read Nancy Drew before, but I can only assume that she follows the same pattern. Lastly, one more fantastic observation, rather two more. Caves. He loves caves. The author always put everybody in a cave. Whether the bad guy was in a cave, whether they're going spelunking, that's another word that I didn't know what it was, but I finally figured it out. Oh, cave exploring, which makes sense. When you're in a cave, there's usually water in there because it goes down low, and when you step in water, the noise you make is spelunk. Spelunking makes a lot of sense. Caves, he couldn't get away from caves in every single book. And Z names, yes, names that start with the letter Z. There aren't a lot out there. Zeke, Zachariah, Zephaniah. I can only think of 3. And yet the author, every single book had a character, whether it was the main bad guy or a henchman, his name started with Z. And he got really, really crazy with these Z names. It must have been like some inside personal joke. He was like, hey, watch this. I'm gonna put a Z name in every book. Zippity-doo, and they will never notice. It's like, me, little 14-year-old kid, I got your number. I found out. Yep, didn't trick me. So those are the Hardy Boy books. So awesome, so great. Encourage your kids to read, because you'll notice that all the really smart people in the world, they read. Did you notice that? They are readers. And you look at all the idiots in the world, they don't like to read. So if you want to be smart, force yourself to read. And you will be smart. Trade your flat screen TV for a book. Who said that? Zig Ziglar, I think, said, you'll notice in poor people's households, they have large flat screen TVs. And in rich people's households, they have libraries. Fascinating, huh? Yeah, consider that.